Hey guys and girls on Ask Japanese, it's Cathy Cat, and today we will be talking about employment here in Japan and some issues that foreigners struggle with, that foreign workers have here in Japan to get along with their colleagues or in companies, or why some companies might not want to employ foreigners as much or are a little bit reluctant to employ foreigners. So let's go. Don't forget, guys, this is a generalization. It depends on totally which company you go for and how strict the company is, how high the hierarchy in the company is, and how harsh the working conditions are. So just be prepared for that. Let's go. The traditional Japanese system is that your company kind of becomes your family. So you become a group, you work together, and it's teamwork. Don't forget, guys, I've stressed this many times. Harmony is super important in Japanese culture and especially in the workplace, which means sometimes there may be things you would like to say or some opinions that you have that it's sometimes better for the group harmony to keep in. Because the Japanese work environment is so focused on harmony, you sometimes should definitely not criticize your colleagues, whether they're above or below you. In front of other people is generally a big no. If you have something you really need to tell them, maybe pull them aside and be very careful how you portray that. Telling people off in front of other people is kind of making them lose face. It makes them feel bad in front of other people. They see him getting told off, and you should never ever do it. You sometimes see it maybe in movies and similar thing where the big boss shouts down at some of his employees. Those people might be able to do it. You're not. Don't do it. Even if this is your honest opinion, you think they need to hear it, especially don't do it in front of other people. And if you don't really have to say it, sometimes it's good to keep it in, think about it, and maybe just give positive suggestions. Positive suggestions, guys.
準備はいいですか? どうもです.
Another important part of harmony is sometimes pushing your requests and your wishes last and then others go first. Now, in the Western society, if you put yourself last, you end up last and you're kind of an idiot. Well, in the Japanese society, if you put yourself last, it shows that you put the harmony of the group or of other people above yourself and you're trying to really help others, which someone will notice and then put you first again. So in the Japanese culture, if you put yourself first all the time, people are going to see that and they're not really want to work with you on the future. So actually, just trying to go for your own benefit is not really helping you. Foreigners who blatantly say what they think and hurt other colleagues or maybe even embarrass them, and foreigners who are not team players and just put themselves first for the sake of just their part of the business are gonna lose trust of their colleagues, and less people will want to work with them. So just watch out for that.
おはようございます.
Ohayou gozaimasu. Greetings are so important. Now think back to the group harmony. Whether it is a teacher greeting a student or a neighbor greeting another neighbor, greeting people around you and especially the people you work with is super important in the Japanese culture. So in the morning, if you meet your colleagues, be sure to say ohayou gozaimasu all through the morning. After the morning, you might still bump into some colleagues during the day, maybe on the way back from the bathroom, from washing your hands from lunch, and you gently go and greet your colleagues still again with a different phrase called お疲れ様です. お疲れ様です. And that usually says, well done for the hard work, good job for the hard work. And it is kind of a greeting that I first thought in Japanese textbook. You say at the end of the day to say good work. It actually happens all through the day. So whenever you just bump into someone, a colleague or maybe someone else from your company that you don't necessarily work with that much, you keep saying お疲れ様です when you see them. It's just acknowledging they're there and that they're working hard too. Still, foreigners who know how to greet their colleagues all through the day definitely have a lot better image as those who might just go past and nod at people occasionally. If you don't greet people, it might come across as snobbish or as if you are ignoring them, or some people might think you don't like them. So make sure that you keep greeting them, otherwise it will give you a really bad image. Also, it's the way how you say it. Don't just go, ohayou gozaimasu, otsukaresama desu. Just give it some energy, especially if you are working in the entertainment industry. It's important to come in with a cheerful smile and go, ohayou gozaimasu, and just gives in some good spirits. Kangekai. That is like the welcome party for new workers at a company. Within the first week or the first month that you start working at a company, you're generally gonna be invited to a drinking and food party. That can be a lunch thing, but generally it's in the evening with loads of drinks. And that's gonna be your kangekai. It might be for you or for other workers as well, in case you join the company together with other people. It doesn't matter whether the kids are screaming at home, you got maybe a concert or a sports event afterwards or similar, or maybe you don't even drink alcohol. You still need to go. It's super important because that's the very first chance for your colleagues to get to know you in a non-working environment. And don't forget, the company is like family. They want to know you, they want to know how you are, and they want to know how you function. If you turn that one down because you just can't be bothered or you have maybe some other appointments, it will look so bad on you. It will make you look as if you don't want to spend time with your colleagues and you don't even care. And those parties are generally arranged for you, meaning the food, the drinks, everything will be prepped by someone else in the company who had to book all of that for you. So don't turn that one down. But what I definitely recommend you guys is don't just go, yeah, I'll do it. Don't be late. And if you go there and then tell them last minute you can't drink alcohol or you have any dietary requirements, you're vegan, vegetarian, whatever, that's also very bad. So if you have some special dietary requirements, tell them straight away. And if you can't drink alcohol, you need to let them know that too, because otherwise no one will be happy. Nomikai, depending on the company you are with, after your introductional welcome party, you will be frequently invited to nomikais, which are like drinking do's in which you go with your colleagues. This might not be as frequent in your country, but in Japan, depending on the company, it might be super frequent. Put yourself in their shoes. There's probably one person in the company who's been arranging the place, who's been arranging the menu. Everything is prepped in advance. A lot of people, they had to send emails out and make sure that everyone can come. And then on top of that, you just turn around and say, I can't be bothered, or hey, I don't actually eat or drink this. Let them know. Otherwise, you're just gonna look like a super rude person and, you're gonna give everyone a hard time. In Japan, there's a word called nominication. It's the word nomu, to drink, and communication together. And certain types of communication that might not happen in the office because you don't want to embarrass other people might be okay when you actually go to those drinking do's. So they can be actually vital to hear what the honme and tatemae is, meaning what are their real thoughts and what are the things that they're just saying because they wanted to be polite. Hone and tatemae. Hone and tatemae are very important in the business world. Tatemae is kind of the font that you put up to be polite, and hone are the things that you truly feel. And at work, they might not be able to tell you this, but under the influence, they might be a little bit more open, tell you screwed actually that one up. I didn't like it that you did that. And those kind of things that I told you earlier, not to say straight out to your colleagues, you might be able to say to your colleagues when you're under the influence, and you might actually be able to hear it. So sometimes you can get some really good feedback on things. Just don't be rude. Also, those nominication events are great for future things. So if you show up and you're there for those drinking events, it makes you seem like a more sociable person, like you're interested in the company and vice versa. If you don't show up because you got other things to do and you prefer your family life or similar things like that, it can have a negative impact on your career because you weren't there, you don't really care about your colleagues and your company. And sometimes some business deals or some connections are actually made on those drinking events, or if you're not there, you might not get that promotion that you wanted to get. So it's generally good to show up and show your effort of hanging out with your colleagues. And I know especially Westerners like putting, themselves and their family first, but especially if you want to have a career and you want to be good with your colleagues, you might have to actually attend those. Manner, rules, and social etiquette are very, very important in Japan, and it's important that you know those two and practice them. And one of them that is very important that you guys might know about is bowing. But here's the trick. The wrong kind of bowing will not help you at all. There's actually different types of bows depending on who you bow to. So if you get sent out to meet important and vital customers, you need to know how deep to bow and how long to hold the bow to show the proper respect. If you don't know this as a foreigner, even as a foreigner, you might not get the green card for that depending how strict your company is. And you might lose customers, you might lose, good connections, and you might seem a little bit rude. So you need to find out what type of bow you need to use for whom. I know. Foreigners have made themselves a bad reputation that they just walk into a meeting room or maybe a restaurant or similar and sit down in whichever seat they want to sit without considering who's supposed to sit where. So on that note, you need to know where the most important person needs to sit. Generally, the seat that's the furthest away from the door and that's the least bothered is the seat of the highest person. And the seat closest to the door and the one person most bothered is the seat of the lowest ranking person. That might, for example, be a junior in the company who has to then, grab copies or grab something else, or maybe if it's a restaurant, talk with the waiters and such. It applies for meeting rooms, it applies for restaurants, it applies even for who stands where in the elevator or who sits where in the taxi or maybe a bus if you're going with your colleagues somewhere. You need to know where the most important person is supposed to sit and cater for that. So don't just go and sit wherever you want. Unfortunately. Think about it. If your boss, for example, has a very nice office, you wouldn't walk in and straight sit in his chair and let him sit in one of the little folding chairs. Make sure that the highest person has the most coziest and comfiest seat. And also, even though you're a foreigner and you have no clue how to actually find out about this, ask your colleagues. Go okay, where am I supposed to sit? That's usually a good help, because if you just sit down, again, it's rude. Depending on what country you are from, the way you negotiate with people can be completely different compared to Japan. Japan, again, think of the harmony. If you're having negotiations between different members of the company, try and make them as good as possible. Try not to be too pushy and try to be sensible about it. Generally, Japanese negotiations are not aggressive and people are not pushing things very strictly. Also, you might at the end of the day not get a clear yes or no. Also, if you want something and you're pushing for it nevertheless, and the other person is just quiet, don't fill that silence with more words. It will look bad. Let them just have their thinking and their thoughts, and don't try and force a clear yes or no out of people. It looks bad. It makes you feel aggressive. It just shows that you don't know enough about Japanese culture. So you might have to just plan for the long run. So in your country, it might get valued that you're a cutthroat, profit-making, selfish person in business, but that does not apply in Japan. Generally in Japan, people are working towards building long-lasting relationships. So if you can only look at yourself and you just get the best deal out, they might not work with you in the future. So maybe think about it, maybe balance things out a little bit and make sure that they still have a good image of you afterwards if you still want to work with them in the future. So, long-lasting relationships over short-term profit.
お疲れ様です。
Those are a couple of things to look out for when you're working in a Japanese company. So don't forget, though, this is a generalization. Depending on where you're working, these rules might be enforced stricter or not so strict. But generally, looking out for the people in your company a lot will come in handy no matter where in the world you actually go and work, right? Come on. I hope you could take a couple of these hints away, but there's more stuff coming up on our channel here, so if you want to know more, be sure to subscribe to our channel for more videos. Thank you so much for hanging out. There is gonna be more stuff coming out from Tokyo to you, so don't forget to check out our socials. They are in the description box down below. The director and I, for example, have an awesome Instagram. And catch you soon for more stuff here from Tokyo to you guys. Yeah, have a good day. See you guys.